to go to the grocery store. Well, we're not the only ones. You see, here in Indiana, for one reason or another, grocery shopping is kind of our only hobby. And it's not just for me and my wife, it's for everyone. I mean, you go into every corner, there's a grocery shop, and they're always busy. Doesn't matter if it's midnight or noon or what time, there's always people in there, they're always grocery shopping. It's just, I don't know, I think it's the Midwest thing. And so one of these places was called Marsh, and it was this really, it wasn't fancy, it was just kind of like a normal grocery store, kind of like a Kroger-like place. And I grew up with it, and we went to it all the time, but recently all the Marshes closed down, so now there's all of these empty buildings. Well, except for one. You see, because there were so many other types of grocery stores, no one was upset that Marsh was closed. The place was kind of expensive, and it really wasn't all of that great, we're being completely honest. And so there's this hope that all of these grocery stores would be turned into these really cool places, apartment complexes and, fun houses and just all these fun things, but most of them just sat around empty for years and years. And finally, just a couple of weeks ago, well, you can see above me here, this one was turned into a public library. And I've never been to the public library. I mean, I've been to a library before, although I have a pretty checkered past when it comes to libraries. It's a long story that I won't get into here. But I've been wanting to go to this library for a long time, and now I finally have the chance to, so I'm gonna go check it out. I mean, it can't be worse than the Marsh that was there, so we'll see. So behind me, you probably see these giant dump plates. These were actually here when this was still Marsh. In fact, this entire front area is still built like the Marsh was. It was supposed to be like a kind of marketplace kind of thing. It was supposed to make it look fancy. Marsh was, it wasn't fancy, but like created the illusion of being fancy. And so this is when Marsh had these cool kind of lamps inside, and it looks like they kept them, which is pretty cool. But it's kind of weird to see basically what is Marsh, but now as a library. So we'll see what the inside looks like. So this place is kind of insane. If you look in front of me here, they actually kept the freezers as they were when this was still a Marsh, and they even have like what was once the meat section still in there, and even the signs up at the top there, if you can see, are still the same. So they didn't actually change the Marsh or take anything out. They basically just threw books into these different parts of the store, and it's really strange, I'm not gonna lie, but it's also kind of amazing. So look, I give the Midwest a lot of shit because, well, let's be honest, they kind of deserve it, but the fact that they turned this old crummy Marsh no one went to into this beautiful weird library. I mean, it's not like they adapted the building and like built new things in it. They just basically just put bookshelves in there. In some places they just put books where stuff already was and just turned it into their own sort of library thing, and I think that's kind of amazing. And if you look here at this book right here, that is the book I did my 3rd grade book report on. Yes, we did a book report in 3rd grade. I did mine on Duke Ellington. I remember we still had computer labs at the time, and I would walk into the computer lab and I would do research. This was like when Google was still like a new big deal, and I was just fascinated by it. And it was at the time when libraries was still like this weird magical place where you could just find things that you could never find anywhere else. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I've been to a library in 5 or 6 years, and I forget how much I love libraries. I mean, I go to bookstores all the time, but I love writing in books, and I love kind of marking them up, so I never found the use of a library. But just being back here, being around these books, the smell, the weird connotations of being in a place that I went grocery shopping all the time and is now a library, just creates this really strange, weird, exciting feel. So another weird / interesting / amazing thing about this library is there's no offices. Everyone, you know, all the librarians who work here, they basically just have desks just set out in the middle of the once grocery store here, and they just do their work, and people come up and ask, and it's really cool, kind of open environment where everyone's talking to everyone. And you know, I was always scared of librarians because they always seem very intimidating. So the fact that they're just out there for anyone to talk to is, I know it feels kind of silly, but it's kind of awesome. So that's my weird, wonderful library experience. An incredible first experience for someone who hasn't been to a library in a really long time. And I'm excited to maybe make use of it. I still need to get a library card. I should probably work on that first. But once I get a library card, Carmel Library, I'm coming.